Hello, hello. How are you? I know I should be singing Christmas carols or have my room decorated. I got none of that. I'm sorry. We are doing Christmas cards, but it's still April. So, no, I didn't pull out the Christmas decorations. I could have though. Um, this is a new class that I have launched in my classroom. It is a paid class. It's $30 and it gives you 4 times 4. It gives you 20, it's 4 times 5. 20 Christmas card SVGs that you can cut with your Cricut and instruction. And we will be doing it for the next 4 weeks. So I'm excited to share that with all of you. And I kind of wanted to give you an idea of what that might look like and kick this off with a bang. And I had a couple other things that I wanted to talk to some of you about, just based on what you've been hearing on some stories and platforms about the software that I use for my classroom. So let me know when you're here and we will chit chat for a few minutes. Hey Shannon, I've been using the Zoom platform for years. Have had no problems at all, still having no problems at all, except that it is now really popular and everybody's Zooming. So because when that happens, then consequently crazy people get involved and somehow have been able to, it's called Zoom bombing, I understand, and they pop into your Zoom and post things we don't want them posting. So Zoom has taken control of that, and they have implemented a policy that all of our classes have to have passwords now, which I've never done before. You have a link, but you've never had to have a password. Well, now you do. So if I invite you into a Zoom classroom now and you click on the link, it embeds the password in it, so you shouldn't need it. I will also tell you what it is. It's one that they assign. But just so that when you see that in one of my classrooms and you think, well, I never had to do that before, what is happening? Exactly, Shannon. A lot of the schools are using it, and a lot of people are using it. A lot of online demonstrators are using it. I love it for a classroom setting because it lets you talk back and forth, and it's a much more open platform. I'm just reading some notes here. Okay, so anywho, if you see something that says, I don't have a password, drop me a note if you're trying to get into a class. I only use Zoom for classes that you pay for. I use Facebook for anything that I give you that's free. So that should be kind of an easy way to know, is that mine? Am I supposed to know that? So if you've paid for a class, you will have a private Zoom classroom. We don't use Facebook for that. We use the Zoom classrooms. That way you can talk to each other, you can talk to me, you can be on camera if you want, you can show your projects. If you're having a problem with something that we're working on, you can show it to me. It's just a different, more intimate setting. Oh. Jeannie, no wonder I was struggling. I was like, what? Jeannie's taking a break from mask making to see what we're doing. Right? Yeah. Lots of things are cool on Zoom. It's great. It really can be awesome. But if you're in my Zoom classroom now, it's going to ask you for a password. It's all good. I didn't change anything, and I will make sure that you have the password as part of your link. So enough of that public service announcement. Now, on to what we're doing here. So let me just get to one spot over here so I can show it to you. Okay. So in my classroom, which remember you just go to caramiller.com and you click on classroom, and then you'll see this. And when you get in here, this is the class that I'm talking about right now. We've also got one going for just Joy people that bought the Cricut Joy. This class will be for any Cricut. Joy people will be taken care of, Cricut Explore people will be taken care of, Cricut Maker people will be taken care of. All good. And when you click on this, you'll see what's happening. You can understand what's going on and some questions. Okay? All right. But tonight, we're kicking this off free. No, you should not have to install Zoom again. It shouldn't change anything. Hey, Linda. So you shouldn't have to do anything different in a Zoom class. But tonight, I'm giving you this card file free as our first one. The people that have already enrolled in the class, it's in there for you, but you get your file start tomorrow. Okay, so what is it? Where do I find what you're talking about? You're going to go into this classroom, the live ones. You're going to scroll down to April. Ooh, it's not showing yet. It'll show. I promise it will. I'll make sure that it's there before I get done. I thought it was there already. I think it's still loading. That's why it's not there. Let me just pop over and see if I can get it to come up while I'm doing this. Anywho, so this is the card that we're making tonight. And there is an SVG for you to make it. And all the parts are in that classroom, the free one, okay? So I'm going to move this out of my way. And whoopsie, no I'm not because you're plugged in. Hold on, I have way too many wires going on here. Never mind, we'll move it there. I'm reading your comments to make sure everybody's okay. So the purpose of this class is use what you have and use your Cricut. So as we are all in stay-at-home mode and our stores aren't open that we're used to, our shipment from our online places are taking a long time, we are trying to, I bet you have a lot of stuff that you could work with. I will show you what I'm using, but I will encourage you to use what you have. I'm going to show you right now. I went into my stamps. Now, granted, I probably have more stamps than you, or maybe not, but I went into, oh, thanks, Lana. I went into the, my stash to see what Christmas stamps I might have. And there's probably more, but this is what I pulled out. So let's just take a peek. Honestly. We have these. And we have these. Right? So these are some of the ones that I will use throughout the next... Let me get... there's almost too many to get in the camera. I bet if you look at these, you'll remember some of these. Right? And you'll think, oh yeah, we did use that one. Oh, that was fun. I'm going to use meerkats. We're going to use some of these. So anywho, the whole point of this is you don't have to go buy stamp sets to take this class. I'm sorry, if you don't have a Cricut, well then that might be a bit of a challenge. But but you could still join us if you have something that cuts SVGs. I'm going to use Cherry Cobbler and Mossy Meadow. I'm also using cardstock because designer series paper is kind of tough to get in Christmas patterns in April. So most of our designs will use cardstock in various colors, but you probably have that. If you happen to have a designer series paper, you could pop that on there too. So it's really an experience of using what you have, and let's make some cards together and enjoy what we're doing. We will, every day, there will be a new card released. It'll be an SVG along with a short tutorial. It might be something in Design Space helping you do something to make it work better. It might be just a PDF handout that gives you what you need along with the SVG. It might be a video with me sharing what I did, right? Aww. Well, maybe, Jeannie, after you get through Mass, you'll be able to do some with us. This ribbon, And honestly, I thought a lot of this wasn't still in stock, but it is. So if you're in love with anything that you saw me using, you can do it. So what I used on this one, I used Itty Bitty Christmas. This is one of the stamp sets that I encouraged you last year to grab, that it's really useful. There's tons. We used this in a bunch of stuff last year. Perfectly Plaid is another one that we used last year. So if you were doing my Christmas card club with me and we weren't using Cricut, you have this one, probably. This is the Parisian Flourish. This is a new embossing folder, and I just think it's really pretty. And I use that to make my background. Okay? All right, so let's go into Design Space for a minute or two. And the first thing you're going to do when you come in, you'll download the SVG. And again, that's the trickiest part of the whole thing, is remembering where you put it. It's not hard. It's just remembering where you put it. So we are going to come in here. I uploaded it already into Design Space, and I'm going to bring it in. Those of you that are taking my current Joy class, there is a similar card. Your file's a little different, but there's a similar card for you, size to fit your Joy, and it's in your classroom. It's a Christmas one, but it's not this particular one. If you are using the Cricut Maker, no worries, this is perfectly fine. If you are using the Cricut Explore family member, no worries. See, everything looks good. If you are using the Cricut Joy, you're going to get a warning down here. The reason you're going to get the warning is because that card, this file right here, is too big for the Joy mat. It won't fit. But as we've learned in our Joy class, it's honestly just as easy to grab yourself your trimmer and an 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper and simply cut it in half. And there's your card base. So that's what this is. This is a card base. It's at 8.5 by 5.5, and it has a score down the middle because the Maker and the Explorer can do that. So I'm going to pop back over here to my Maker, but I got to do a little something to tell the Maker what exactly to do. Okay? So first thing I need to do is ungroup this little arrangement, and I need to take this guy out. This is the one I need to work on. Okay? I'm going to move it down here for a second, out of the way. I'm going to select all of these, and I'm going to move them over here. Okay? Bring this guy back up so that now you can see it. I need to change. Notice this line in the middle that's highlighted. It's this line right here. That's supposed to be a score line. When they come in as an SVG, though, it's a cut line. So if I were to load this into the machine right now, it would give it a nice little slice down the middle, which is not what I want. So I'm going to select that line, and the easiest way, honestly, is to select it over here in the layers. And I'm going to come up and change the line type to a score. See, it changes to a dotted line. Now the machine knows, oh, I'm supposed to score that. I'm not supposed to cut it. One more thing you're going to want to do, make sure that that line stays where you want it. So I'm going to select both the card base and the score line, and I'm going to say attach. Now, when I say make it, machine gets super excited, and it's going to come over here. This first layer is my white layer, and it's going to score and cut, right? It's going to score this and cut. And I'm using a 12 by 12, so I'm going to get my mat out. Those of you that have taken Cricut classes with me know we use blue mats for paper. The light blue mat and my standard line is when Cricut said introduce them, I thought, yeah, right. You just want me to buy something. No, they were right. The blue mat is incredible. So if you are not using the blue mat with your paper crafting, give it a try. I bet you will fall in love, just like me, and realize that it is the coolest thing and you get much, much better cuts. Okay? All right, so I'm going to tell this to continue. First thing it's going to do is going to look for my maker, which I connect with a USB when I'm doing class because there's too many things going on in here and it gets it super confused. I'm cutting, Stampin' Up! 12 by 12 Whisper White, and I choose medium cardstock. My Cricuts love medium cardstock with that. Now, first thing you're going to notice is it's coming in with your tools. I actually am using the traditional scoring tool. Lots of reason. We'll talk about that some other day. So I need to tell the machine that's what I have. I don't have the scoring wheel in here. So I'm going to edit tools. I'm going to pick the stylist and I'm going to say apply. We're all good. I'm going to put that back in the machine, which is right over here to one side. And I'm going to load my mat. And I'm going to tell it fast mode. That makes it go a little bit quicker. That's an option with a maker. It's not an option with any of your other ones. It's not an option with the Joy. Well, actually it is. It is. I disregard. I'm reading questions too. So frustrating. Poor Lana. All right, so we're going to cut. So while that's happening, I want to talk a little bit. It's going to cut the white, which is basically going to do this. So we're going to get, I know there's a bunch of things in this poor camera shot. I should move you further. So this is using the 12 by 12. This is my card right here. This is this piece. Then I cut 2 trees. And then this is where I stamp my sentiment. So that all came out of that Whisper White layer. And we're good. Here we go. So here's our card. Remember, when you have something coming off the mat, honestly, the blue mat isn't difficult. It's usually pretty easy to get it off. But if it's hard, you're going to want to flip your mat over. And you're going to take the mat away from the paper. All right. Okay, so let's see what we have now from this first layer. We have our card base. This is that extra piece. So I'm going to hold on to this because I can do lots more with it. I'm not going to waste it. So I have that, and I have 2 trees and my card base. Now the machine wants my cherry cobbler. All right, this is what I cut before, but I'm going to bring my cherry cobbler in. I'm using the 8.5 by 11, plenty of room. I'm still going to choose the medium cardstock. This one's just going to cut. So we're just going to load that in. And we're going to let it go. And that's going to give me these trees. Notice on the trees, I put some of them through the embossing folder too, which gave me a little extra texture to them. All right, so I'm getting 3 of the red. I'm going to get 3 of the green. No, I didn't have any green ones. So what I did was I took this red layer and I'm going to do it again. Only this time I'm going to do it out of Mossy Meadow. So I'm just cutting the same 3 trees out of Mossy Meadow. Another way I could do that, though, is I could say cancel. And I want to show you something else that you can do. Now, I've already cut that red layer, right? And I'm thinking I want to cut green trees too. I'm going to come up here and I'm going to say move that. And I'm going to move it to the green layer. So I have a couple of ways to do this. This is one. Another one, I could have just loaded a green mat, a green piece of paper in even though it was red, and just cut 3 trees. Or I can do what I'm doing right now, which is come back to this, click on those 3 little dots and say move it to the green one, and one more, click on this and move. It's not going to mess up my file or anything. It's just going to give me this option right now. All right, so there's that. Now I'm going to continue. Notice my red layer my red layer disappears. And now I've only got the white, the yellow, and the green. It's ready to cut the green. So I'm going to say, okay, but I really wanted to do that yellow. But I'll do the green first, and we'll go back to yellow later. So now I need my mat. And I need my Daffodil Delight. Someone asked me earlier today if you like the Joy. I do for something like this because I wouldn't need as much paper, as much space, and I could be doing it right here on camera for you, but we're good. Fast mode. And cut. So the Joy will do all of this too, but you have to have smaller paper. It's great for your, and I could do the same thing on the Maker. I really can. There's really no, the Maker can do anything that the Joy can do. Okay, so in the meantime, while these things are playing over here, I'm going to come down here and I'm going to work on this. So I'm going to fold this. And then I need my green layer, which is still not done. Oh, look what happened. Cricut cut it yellow instead of green. Not what I had in mind. These are supposed to be stars. But you know what? I'll save this for another project. No worries. That's what I get for talking. So we'll put these over here and put them in the supply pile for later. Let's go to our stars. All right, Mr. Cricut, can we do stars, please? Anybody bored yet? Are you okay? Is it going to do it right this time? I think so. Yes, we're cutting stars. Melinda, that's a great question. If you are just a paper crafter, which is me, not really. There's a few things that it does. It does cut nicely and faster. But if paper and vinyl are the 2 things that you cut, I don't think you need to upgrade. It allows you to do, the scoring is great, but truthfully, the scoring stylus does work fine for me. So I'm not sure. I think there's a lot of things that you could spend money on. I think when it dies, I would. Right. Exactly. So if you want to do more than paper, then yeah. But if you are just like paper and vinyl, then there isn't a need. So you just have to think about what you like to do. I'm not a huge fabric fan with it, and that's just me. But again, that's me. You have to cut it to fit the 12 by 12 mat before you before you use the machine. Well, if I've got to do that, I might as well cut what I want. You know, it's just me. So I don't necessarily find it, because I do paper, cardstock, and vinyl. 99% of my time. I have to look at this for a second or we're going to cut the wrong thing yet again. So let me just pay attention for a second. Because this little machine does what it wants to do. And that's the funny thing. You can blame it on the machine all you want. What you see is what you get. So if it says that's what it's going to do, that's what it's going to do. I just didn't look at it. So see, it's cutting green, and it tells me it's cutting green. It doesn't know that I loaded yellow. All right, we're almost done. Phew. We'll get this cut now. It does do some really cool things. It does. If you do any kind of aluminum thing. So again, if you do anything beyond paper or vinyl, then the maker is cool. And I would watch for a good sale if you're going to invest in it. Sometimes Cricut does some upgrade deals where you can get credit on your maker, or I'm sorry, on your Explorer. But if you have an Explorer Air 2, which is what my other one is, there really isn't that different. It looks different. The software looks different on the maker because you're not using the dial. Okay, we are now ready to put this together. I'm going to close you and move you out of the way here. All right. So we have our card base. Yeah. That's exactly what I did. Jeannie, I did the very same thing. I'm just not a fan with the fabric. I find I can do it better myself. I guess it would depend on what you were doing or if you had never done it the other way. Okay, so first things first is this layer of Mossy Meadow goes down on your card. Right. Okay, and then we're going to take this layer and we're going to put it in this embossing folder. Notice it's got that great line. If you don't have this folder, you can use any one you have. And if you are using one of the 3D embossing folders from Stampin' Up, you're going to love this blue plate, because then all you need is the blue plate and this. And you're going to load it in. That's the original platform. Now the other thing I did, besides that base, put this through, it's going to hit my pile of stamps back here. I also took a few trees and ran those through just to give them some texture as well. That's a good explanation too, Jeannie. So if you're a crafter but not a seamstress, you might enjoy it because it would cut. There's a bunch of people that love it for fabric. It's just not my thing. But I'm a paper crafter, so I've tried 100 different ways to pretend I'm not, but that is what I am. All right, so we've got this and this. But before we stick that down, we're going to take our ribbon and we're going to snip off a piece. And then whoops, super dull. These are not the fabric scissors. And then I use Scotch tape on the back. And I'm going to put this down. I kind of like the white side. And I'm going to flip it to the back and a piece of tape to hold it in place while we get working. You could use a glue dot, but a piece of tape works really well. Okay. And then I want it to kind of be a little bit loose. And then a piece of tape on the other side. Alrighty. Then we're going to take our glue dots Has anybody used Amy Chomas's engraving, or do you use the Cricut one? And you just stick that down. The engraving one, I'm sorry. And then this one right here. And this looks kind of funky until we stick the stars on. And that there. Okay, now we're good. Now our stars. Right? I like this. So we're making a little star garland. And then we're going to stick this down. Should I be singing Christmas carols or something? No? Is it okay? Tammy, you did? I'm going to put this... I think she did... Well, she did hers for the Explorer, too, before the Maker one came out. The advantage to the Maker is as Cricut adds new tools, the Maker... You should not need to buy a new machine. It should do it. Yeah. Is that what I meant? Yeah. No. Mary Lou, tell me, am I missing something? Okay. Mary Lou's typing an answer. So those are going to go like that, and you're just going to assort these. There's no rhyme or reason. There's no magic to how they do it, how you put them in. Then you've got a white one, right? I'm going to take the perfectly plaid tree and some mossy meadow. And we're going to ink that up. Now it's going to be bigger than that white one. So I'm going to use my silicone sheet because I don't want to get my foam thing all icky. And there's my tree. So now you might be thinking, well, gee, isn't there a bundle with that? Couldn't I use my punch instead? You sure could. That's why this is use what you have. So I will make sure that you will have everything you need within a Cricut file. But if you have something else that you'd like to decorate the front of this card with, you're more than welcome to. There's no one's going to yell at you. If you don't have the cardstock that you want, or yeah, she has like an embossing tool, and I wondered if anyone had used that. I used it years ago on the original, way back in the day, but I haven't used one. So there's my trees, right? And now I have my sentiment and a shadow layer. And I used Happy Holidays from the Itty Bitty Christmas, right? And some cherry cobbler. Happy Holidays. And then I'm going to pop that on here. And then some dimensionals, of course. One Christmas card done. Actually, I have two. And then I went into my embellishment little box to see what I had. And I had a few rhinestones. I used the one of the wide stamp cases. And I keep, when I have just a little bit of something left over, I had a few of these rhinestones. So I just popped those on my stars to add a little bit of bling. And we're ready to go. Now this is a little bit lumpy because of the ribbon. So what could you do if you were going to mail these and you're worried about the lumpy? Well, you wouldn't have to use a real ribbon. You could have used a strip of paper. You could have used a thin, like this stuff, the twine. That would have worked. Probably not in the white, but remember you can dye this by putting it on your ink pad and drawing it through. So that's the kind of thing we're going to be doing in our Christmas card, Bring Your Cricut, Make a Card class that's going on for the month of April. So if you're interested and you want to find out more about it, remember you can just go to the classroom and you can read all about it. Those of you that have already joined me, thank you, and I'm excited to see you. And watch for your first file tomorrow with more information to follow. All right, everybody, have a great night, and I'll see you soon. Bye.